So the movie Cuties came out on Netflix, and usually on this channel I talk about funny scary movies, but I really felt the need to talk about Cuties. First, because I studied filmmaking in college, so obviously I have a passion for it, and second, I just watched everything that unfolded around this movie for the last couple of weeks, and I was really interested in seeing for myself what the movie had to say and if it was as bad as the marketing made it look like. And sadly, the marketing was not that misleading. You know, I went to a Catholic school since I was a child until the end of high school. And let me tell you, when I was 11, I was like that. I used to steal my mom Cosmopolitan's magazines and brought them to school. Then me and my friends would read the magazine and we had no idea what we were talking about. We didn't even understand sex, but we were so intrigued about it, and we would just talk about it and talk about, those kind of things. So I really understand the point of choosing 11 years old. Now, the execution of the story and what those girls went through, it's what really called my attention. This movie, it's bad, but I think that it came out at the worst time possible. Why? Well, because right now we are having these maps, if you know what I mean, crisis going on right now in social media. We're having these adults with these fixations on children just talking freely on the internet and on TikTok, on Instagram and Twitter and all these social medias that are doing absolutely nothing to stop the spread of these people. So for Netflix to release a movie like this worldwide obviously would call the attention of absolutely everyone in the world, especially with the poster they pull out. It would have been a great time for a movie around, the sexualization of kids to come out, but sadly, the movie does not deliver on the right message, and I want to really tell you why. So for this video, I have no script, usually I do, but I really want to go over the movie here in my computer, and I have my notes, and I really want to go point by point as of when the movie was working and when the movie stopped working, because believe it or not, this movie actually, it was working for the first half. For me, it was clear the message, everything was resonating with me until a certain point. So the movie actually does an incredible job at the start to establish what is happening and what are the circumstances of our protagonist, Amy, that it is this 11-year-old little girl. We see the kind of conservative life that she has with her family, and they are very religious, and then the very first thing she sees in this new building that she have moved to is this girl just dancing and being free on her and straightening up her hair with an iron literally, while she has these very curly messy hairs. So you can really see the two sides of the spectrum. You see this girl that comes from a very conservative background, and then you see this girl that is obviously wild and free while they are the same age. So after that, we get this really funny scene where Amy goes to get the iron and tries to straight up her hair like the girl that she saw before, but her hair burns out and she's failing doing so because she has no idea what she has to do. She is just imitating what she saw. So in 8 minutes, this movie has already established what this movie will be about, and it is about Amy just imitating everything she sees. And that's why this movie was working really well at the start. Amy arrives to this new school, and the same girl that was dancing at her building, it's now in the same school, and she is dressed, with very fitted clothes, and she has makeup all over her face. Jess walks right by Amy and just joins the rest of her classmates, and they start doing a mannequin challenge while this little kid is filming them everybody, and the principal of the school arrives and she sees them and she has no idea what's going on. And that was another instance of the movie just doing a great job establishing things, because I think that's one of the problems that we have nowadays. Adults do not understand what happens in social media. They watch kids, they watch what they're doing, and they don't understand, so therefore they have no idea how to explain things to children. They have no idea how to prevent things like what happened in the movie to not happen, because they have no idea. They are so disconnected with social media and they think that they have no need to know what's going on about. And this is a thing that I think the movie manages, that I think that a lot of people might be missing, and it's how dangerous misinformation is, because everyone in this movie is just misinformed about everything basically. Kids are misinformed about sex and how they are portraying themselves, and then the adults are misinformed about how social media works and they have no interest in it. So it just becomes like a misinformation cycle where absolutely no one has any idea of what they're talking about or what they are doing, but they are doing it anyways and they think that they know better. So yeah. So the principal scolds Jess for dressing up like that and actually takes it with her, and then their friends start chasing the principal and Jess, and they are screaming all these things that why is an 11-year-old screaming about like freedom of expression and all those things. And it's again like they are just repeating what they're reading on their internet. Like these kids already know too much and we cannot ignore that. We jump back to Ami's life at home and we can see that she actually has a good relationship with her mother. Her mother tells her that her father is going to marry another man, and she obviously does not take it well, and instead of explaining things to her or trying to make things lighter for her, she just has to accept this fact. So this kid is obviously going through heartbreak, and her mother does not explain anything to her, does not check on her, and she's bound to just accept that things are that way, and for a child that can be really harmful. So since Ami doesn't have a phone, she steals one, which is bad. But it was very endearing to see her just fascinating by the phone and taking selfies and, discovering this new part of herself. So she's listening and watching and learning all these things from these girls that just doesn't know any better. And this is one of the scenes that a lot of people criticized, and it was this scene in the bathroom where the girls are discussing what, like a man thing does to a woman's body. A lot of people were saying that I don't know why these girls were having this conversation in the bathroom. It was so perturbing. And I know it's kind of weird, but those conversations just happen, and I just want to make that clear. And I was just sitting there like, yeah, I was like that. I was like that in school. No one guided me. No one told me the correct information. I had no one to talk about those things, and I was just there with my friends speculating and saying nonsense and just repeating what I have read somewhere that I shouldn't have been reading in the first place. And two, it's actually a very interesting scene because we are treating the theme of misinformation that I mentioned before, and also we are seeing how naive these girls are and how little they know. So we are reminded that we are dealing with 11 years old that have no idea what they're talking about, and we have no idea what they are reading on the internet for them to think that that can happen. Then we got to the first scene that really upset me, and it was when the girls sent Ami to film a boy while he's peeing, just, to get like a video of his thing while he's peeing. I understand that maybe the director wanted to show us how little these girls actually care about everything and everyone and what they're doing, and how they have no idea of the wake of their actions. But I think that we are seeing that through the whole movie. We understand later that these girls have no respect for anything just because they don't understand. But that scene was harassment, and I didn't like that. I didn't like that she chose that to show us that these girls have no boundaries. And it's sad because I think that it's a really interesting theme to show how misinformation can actually lead someone to act wrongfully towards other people. Since these girls are so misinformed, they have no idea how bad it is what they are doing. They have no idea what harassment is. But the execution was terrible. I actually don't like at all that she chose that kind of scene. Then we are shown a couple of instances when these girls are told that they are children and they don't like it. So the first one is when these boys approach them at the park and they say they are 14, but Ami doesn't know that she needs to lie, so she says 11. And so her friends scold her and tell her that she needs to lie, that she cannot say that she's 11. And the second one is when the girls are having a video call with a guy, but they have the camera blocked, so the guy cannot see that he is chatting with a couple of girls. Then I think her name was Jasmine. She unblocks the camera and Jess gets exposed, and this guy calls her a little child and that she needs to go back and play with her toys. Jess then gets incredibly angry at Jasmine, and she starts hitting and throws the computer to the floor and just goes out of the room angry, and all the rest of the girls go after her. So these girls are convinced that they are already women and they should be treated as such. And we finally reach the part that basically ruined the whole movie. So before this, we see that the girls have a dance group and Ami cannot be a part of it because she doesn't know how to dance. So in her free time, she starts to learn the choreography. It is after Jess shows her this other dance group of girls, but their dance is much more sexual. And actually one girl shows up one of her goodies in the video and they laugh it off, that Ami finally starts watching videos of, of grown-up women, but Amy does not know that she has not the age to be dancing like that because there's no one around to tell her that there's an age for everything and that it is wrong and why it is wrong. And the plot twist for me in this movie was that Amy was not the one to learn, like from the other girls, how to dance like that, but she is the one who teaches the other girls how to dance like that. To a certain point, these girls know when it is too much, because when you see their first dance routine, it's actually not that bad. I think that, okay, yeah, they have a couple of hip swings and they're just like, you know, doing like these kind of movements, but nothing really that bad. But it is until Amy watches those videos and she learns those moves that she teaches them to the others. And this was the very first scene that really like took me aback, and it is Amy showing Jess her new dance moves. She first shows her that she knows the choreography, and then she gets on the floor and she starts twerking and doing all these movements, and the camera puts a lot of emphasis on her body. And I think that's when things just went bad for me. So to that point, the movie was actually doing a great job in showing what was growing up with all this information around you and no one to actually guide you through it. But after that, it just really failed because they really put a lot of emphasis in her body. So then we get yet another montage of Amy showing the girls how to dance, and we cannot do it briefly, of course not. We spend good 3 minutes, I think, just watching these girls on the floor and twerking and pounding the floor, and it's horrible to watch. Like, they cannot even pull the face, and obviously they cannot pull like a sexy face. They are children, they cannot, and it's awkward, and I really don't understand why we spend so much time watching that, because right after we also get this montage of the girls repeating the moves but on a set of stairs. And then, if you thought that we were putting too much emphasis on their bodies before, well, now the director just went full on close up on those girls. So by now, Amy is a complete wild child. She basically does what she wants. She steals money from her mother. The wedding of her father is getting closer and closer, and the closer it gets, the worse Amy gets. And you just understand that she's just boiling up all these emotions inside her, and by dancing, it's the way she is venting all those emotions, but basically she is venting them the wrong way. And this is never explained in the movie. You just understand by the context that her family is very conservative and that she's doing something that she shouldn't be doing. So by doing these things, I think that Amy is kind of rejecting the environment that she has been living in for so long, and the environment that has allowed her father to do the things that he is doing. And while I understand what the director is maybe trying to say, that does not justify the execution of the dancings. You don't have to make them dance so sexually, because it is very, very sexual. And to have the camera just like literally hovering on their bodies, just staying there, and it's making zooms in their bodies, and it's awkward, and there's no justification. Things start getting worse and Amy hates her home, and there is this scene where her mother faints, which I don't understand why she faints. But the point is that Amy just stands there on her seat and eats her cereal and does nothing about it, and you can see that she is feeling this disdain for her family. It gets to a point where they finally find out that she has a phone, and the original owner tries to take the phone back from her. She then locks herself up in the bathroom and she takes a picture of her private parts. I don't know why she did it, and the worst part is that nothing comes up from that situation. Literally nothing comes up from that scene, and you don't understand why Amy did such thing, which makes everything even worse. Because it feels like such a sensitive and heavy scene has no reason to exist. By now, Amy has no limits, and the picture that she took of her underwear basically makes that everyone start talking bad about them. We start seeing the consequences of Amy's actions. For example, a boy in her class spanks her, and he justifies himself by saying that Amy is posting dirty pictures on the internet. This leads to Amy hitting the boy, and she's sent back home, and her mother finally scolds her, and she goes crazy on Amy. She tells her that she is not her daughter and that she does not raise her that way, and she goes to her friends just to realize that they are angry at her as well, because the picture she took with her underwear out has caused her group to have a bad reputation, and now everyone is calling the whole group names, and obviously their friends are angry at her when, well, they hadn't been any better, but they are blaming Amy on everything because they are kids. Obviously they will do things like this. Amy tries to talk to Jess and she hugs her, and she basically starts to dig her nails on Jess's back, and she starts to hurt her while she's crying. And you can just see how much this girl is hurting and how much she doesn't understand and doesn't know what to do, and it's very heartbreaking. And she just cannot accept the fact that she won't be dancing with her friends anymore. Like, she really wants to dance, like it's the only thing she has, and she won't let anyone take that away from her. It turns out that the day of the competition, it was the same day of her father's wedding. So Amy ditches everyone at her house and just go to the dance competition, even when her friends told her that she cannot dance with them anymore. On the way to the competition, Amy sees Jasmine, that is the girl that is going to take her place in the competition, and she pushes her to the water. And you can see how Jasmine is drowning and how Amy's doing nothing, and you're just seeing this little girl derailing, and there's no one to say anything about it. She's just doing these bad things all over the place. And it really bothers me because now Amy just tried to kill a girl, and as well, nothing comes out of it. She just does these things. At the end of the day, since Jasmine never made it into the competition, they need to have Amy in their group so they can dance, because they need to dance as a 4-member group. And they dance, and I bet that you have seen this clip on Twitter, or if you have watched the movie, you will know of that awful scene of that final dance. And while we are seeing how the audience is actually disgusted by the presentation, are not liking it at all because they know what's wrong about it, I think that we do not see enough of the audience. I think we got 2 shots of people just disapproving the presentation, and then we are still getting those zooms on the girls dancing, and it's pretty disturbing. First of all, this scene should have never existed. It should have never been filmed. These girls had no business dancing like them. If the director was so convinced she needed this scene, you know what maybe could have been much more powerful? It's that, I don't know, maybe we could have gotten just a couple of shots of the girl dancing from afar, not really doing anything as sexual as what they were doing, and then we could see the whole audience reacting badly to them. Not just a couple of people booing or acting disgusted, but generally the whole audience reacting badly, so these girls could see that what they're doing are wrong, and the people who are eager to watch girls doing that are wrong. And you can make the point that just because things are okay in the internet, it doesn't mean that they are actually okay, and these girls can actually see the mistake that they were doing by trying to grow up too fast. And at least seeing something like that for me would have made the ending make more sense. In the middle of the dance, Amy just stops and she starts listening to the music that her family plays, that it has to do with her religion. She hears that music, she starts crying, and she runs off of the stage. Through the whole movie, we are seeing how Amy is not in good terms with her religion and her family, so suddenly for this religious music to change Amy's way of thinking about what she's doing, it's really not believable for me. And after that, Amy just runs home, hugs her mother. Suddenly her mother does not hate her for dressing like that or acting like that, and now her mother is okay about it, and we don't know why she's okay about it. What has she realized? What has Amy realized? We have nothing. We see them coming, and the mother finally understands that Amy should not go to the wedding if she didn't want to, so she lets her free, and Amy then changes, and then we get an ending that it could have been sweet if the execution hadn't been like that. By the end, Amy is finally acting like a child her age, and she drops the costumes and she drops the wedding dress, and she just goes and starts jumping the rope like a kid, and the movie ends. And I think that what makes this movie even worse is that there is no call to actions at the end of the movie. There is nothing explicitly telling you that this is wrong, that these girls were in the wrong, and the people allowing these girls to be like that are in the wrong. You know, having 2 people booing the presentation, it's not making clear how wrong this is. If you're going to go to the extreme of showing these girls acting this sexual, then I think you could have taken the time to film a couple of scenes of at least one person telling these girls that they should not be doing this. So the lack of a clear resolution or the lack of an explanation as of why this happened, or maybe what we can do as parents or siblings to avoid someone younger falling into these type of things. The movie just ends. We don't know what happens with the friends, if they are happy, if they're not happy, if they get backlash of their presentation. We have nothing of that. So Cuties is not only bad because they are indeed exploiting children dancing like that, but it's also bad because this movie is supposed to be a commentary piece, but it seems that the only thing it does is it shows you the problem, but it never criticizes it. I do believe that casting such young girls was actually counterproductive for the movie because it's doing what it claims that it is criticizing, so it's pretty ironic. And just by casting these 11-year-old girls and showing them how to dance and how to move and how to act like that, they just added to the problem, because I can imagine that the parents of those children now they will have to explain to the kids why it's wrong, why they should not be acting like that outside of the movie set. And it was just a matter of fixing a couple of details. They should have casted older girls for this movie and they should have toned down the dances. If they had made those couple of changes, this would have been a complete different story. We can understand that, I don't know, maybe this girl is 15 and she can say that she has been doing this for 5 years, so we can understand that she has been doing it since she was a little kid. There is so many ways that this could have been better. Needless to say, this movie failed horribly on the execution and the storytelling and the message that it was trying to tell to the masses. And this is a topic that we should be talking about more than ever, that we need to protect our children, but we don't need to do it like this. So that was my analysis on the movie Cuties, and I hope that you like it. And you can also follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and on Twitch, where I play every Wednesday and Friday. Thank you so much for watching.